The Path of Purification, Visuddhimagga, of Bhadantācariya Buddhaghosa, published by Buddhist Publication Society, Kandy, Sri Lanka.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Part 1. Sila. Chapter 1. Description of Virtue, Sila Nidesa. Section 2. Extracts, passage 16 to 24. Virtue. However, even when this path of purification is shown in this way, under the headings of virtue, concentration, and understanding, each comprising various special qualities, it is still only shown extremely briefly. And so, since that is insufficient to help all, there is, in order to show it in detail, the following set of questions dealing in the first place with virtue. 1. What is virtue? 2. In what sense is it virtue? 3. What are its characteristic, function, manifestation, and proximate cause? 4. What are the benefits of virtue? 5. How many kinds of virtue are there? 6. What is the defiling of it? 7. What is the cleansing of it? Here are the answers. What is virtue? It is the states beginning with volition, present in one who abstains from killing living things, etc., or in one who fulfills the practice of the duties. For this is said in the Patisambhida. What is virtue? There is virtue as volition, virtue as consciousness concomitant, virtue as restraint, virtue as non-transgression. Herein, virtue as volition is a volition present in one who abstains from killing living things, etc., or in one who fulfills the practice of the duties. Virtue as consciousness concomitant is the abstinence in one who abstains from killing living things, and so on. Furthermore, virtue as volition is the 7 volitions that accompany the first 7 of the 10 causes of action, kamma, in one who abandons the killing of living things, and so on. Virtue as consciousness concomitant is the 3 remaining states consisting of non-covetousness, non-ill will, and right view, stated in the way beginning, abandoning covetousness, he dwells with a mind free from covetousness. Virtue as restraint should be understood here as restraint in 5 ways. Restrained by the rules of the community, patimokkha, restrained by mindfulness, restrained by knowledge, restrained by patience, and restrained by energy. Herein restrained by patimokkha is this: he is furnished, fully furnished, with this patimokkha restraint. Restrained by mindfulness is this: he guards the eye faculty, enters upon restraint of the eye faculty. Restrained by knowledge is this: the currents in the world that flow, ajita, said the Blessed One, are stamped by means of mindfulness. Restraint of currents I proclaim, by understanding they are damped. And use of requisites is here combined with this. But what is called restraint by patience is that given in the way beginning, he is one who bears cold and heat, And what is called restraint by energy is that given in the way beginning, he does not endure a thought or sense desires when it arises. Purification of livelihood is here combined with this. So this fivefold restraint and the abstinence in clansmen who dread evil from any chance of transgression met with should all be understood to be virtue as restraint. Virtue as non-transgression is the non-transgression by body or speech of precepts of virtue that have been undertaken. This, in the first place, is the answer to the question, what is virtue? Now as to the rest. In what sense is it virtue? It is virtue, Sila, in the sense of composing, Silena. What is this composing? It is either a coordinating, samadhana, meaning non-inconsistency of bodily action, etc., due to virtuousness, or it is an upholding, upadharana, meaning a state of basis, adhara, owing to its serving as foundation for profitable states. For those who understand etymology, admit only these two meanings. Others, however, comment on the meaning here in the way beginning. The meaning of virtue, Sila, is the meaning of head, Sira. The meaning of virtue is the meaning of cool, Sitala. Now what are its characteristic, function, manifestation, and proximate cause? Here, the characteristic of it is composing, even when analyzed in various ways, as visibility is of visible data, even when analyzed in various ways. Just as visibleness is the characteristic of the visible database, even when analyzed into the various categories of blue, yellow, etc., because even when analyzed into these categories, it does not exceed visibleness. So also this same composing, described above as the coordinating of bodily action, etc., and as the foundation of profitable states, is the characteristic of virtue, even when analyzed into the various categories of volition. Because even when analyzed into these categories, it does not exceed the state of coordination and foundation. While such is its characteristic, its function has a double sense: action to stop misconduct, then achievement as the quality of blamelessness in virtuous men. So what is called virtue should be understood to have the function of stopping misconduct as its function in the sense of action, and a blameless function as its function in the sense of achievement. For under these headings of characteristic, etc., it is action, kicca, or it is achievement, sampati, that is called function, rasa, or nature. Now virtue, so say those who know, itself as purity will show, and for its proximate cause they tell, the pair, conscience and shame as well. This virtue is manifested as the kinds of purity stated thus: bodily purity, verbal purity, mental purity. It is manifested, comes to be apprehended as a pure state. But conscience and shame are said by those who know to be its proximate cause, its near reason, is the meaning. For when conscience and shame are in existence, virtue arises and persists, and when they are not, it neither arises nor persists. This is how virtue's characteristic, function, manifestation, and proximate cause should be understood. What are the benefits of virtue? Its benefits are the acquisition of the several special qualities, beginning with non-remorse. For this is said, Ananda, profitable habits, that is virtues, have non-remorse as their aim, and non-remorse as their benefit. Also, it is said further, Householder, there are these 5 benefits for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. What 5? Here, householder, one who is virtuous, possessed of virtue, obtains a large fortune as a consequence of diligence. This is the first benefit for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. Again, of one who is virtuous, possessed of virtue, a fair name is spread abroad. This is the second benefit for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. Again, whenever one is virtuous, possessed of virtue, enters an assembly, whether of Khatiyas, warrior nobles, or Brahmans, or householders, or ascetics, he does so without fear or hesitation. This is a third benefit for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. Again, one who is virtuous, possessed of virtue, dies unconfused. This is the fourth benefit for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. Again, one who is virtuous, possessed of virtue, on the breakup of the body after death, reappears in the happy destiny in the heavenly world. This is the fifth benefit for the virtuous in the perfecting of virtue. There are also the many benefits of virtue, beginning with being dear and loved, and ending with destruction of cankers described in the passage beginning. If a bhikkhu should wish, may I be dear to my fellows in the life of purity and loved by them, held in respect and honored by them, let him perfect the virtues. This is how virtue has as its benefits the several special qualities, beginning with non-remorse. Furthermore, dare anyone a limit place on benefits that virtue brings, without which virtue clansmen find no footing in the dispensation. No Ganges and no Yamuna, no Sarabu, Saraswati, or flowing Achiravati, or noble river of Mahi is able to wash out the stain in things that breathe here in the world, for only virtuous water can wash out the stain in living things. No breezes that come bringing rain, no balm of yellow sandalwood, no necklaces beside, or gems, or soft effulgence of moonbeams can here avail to calm and soothe men's fevers in this world, whereas this noble, this supremely cool, well-guarded virtue quells the flame. Where is there to be found the scent that can be virtue's scent compare, and that is borne against the wind as easily as with it? Where can such another stair be found that climbs as virtue does to heaven, or yet another door that gives unto the city of Nibbana? Shine as they may, there are no kings adorned with jewelry and pearls that shine as does a man restrained, adorned with virtue's ornament. Virtue entirely does away with dread of self-blame and the like. Their virtue to the virtuous gives gladness always by its fame. From this brief sketch, it may be known how virtue brings reward, and how this root of all good qualities robs of its power every fault.